Let me know if you're able to see my screen. So you're able to see my screen, right? So this is the screen, how so BODS look like. So I can say here, so if I tell about this kind of space, this is the data stores, how we are connecting database to BODS tool. So with this help of data stores, we are connecting the source system, and I can say with this data stores, we are connecting the target systems as well. So this is the data store which is connecting BODS and different type of source systems as well as target systems. So now I would like to explain something about architecture. So what is BODS architecture? So we can call BODS as SAP data service as well. So data services. So in the older version, in the sense like 10-15 years back, so it is from data integration options and data quality options separately, like individual tools. So after certain time, so BO company has acquired these two tools, and they made it as SAP, sorry, BODI and BODK tool. So BODI is for data integration transforms, BODQ is for data quality transforms. So after some more time, SAP purchased BO and they renamed it as BODS. By integrating those two tools, they can make those two tools into one environment. So then they renamed it to BODS. So BODS, then it comes under SAP BODS. So BODS is Business Objects Data Services. So Business Objects Data Services, in the sense like it can deal with the different type of source data, and it can be useful for extracting the data from different sources, transforming the data in BODS, and load the data into different sources. I can say nowadays, if someone working on SAP applications by using the BODS tool, I mean to say extracting the data from SAP, which is either lower versions, and loading the data into SAP, which is higher version. So we can call it as data migration. So who are working on data migration, I can say those people are hotcake in the market. So very good opportunities for data migration persons, along with data integration and BODA. So only integration, in the sense we are migrating the data to database like SQL database, MySQL, these kind of databases. So if you are loading the data into this kind of application, we can call it as data integrator. And if you are loading it to SAP application, we can call it as data migration. So now I would like to explain something about BODS Designer. So this is the architecture. So BODS architecture, it contains three-layer architecture. So one is user interface architecture and database server layer. Sorry, so user interface layer, database server layer, and so platform layer. So these three are the layers. In user interface layer, we can see the BODS Designer, Management Console, Information Steward, and Central Management Console (CMC). So here, Management Console and BODS Designer, these two are comes under BODS. So BODS is the designer. It is an client tool. We can install that in our local PC. And Management Console is a web-based application. Through URL, we can open this Management Console. So those two are laid on same database. Those two are laid on same interface. But one is web-based application. One is client-based application. So BODS Designer, it is a client-based application where we can develop all set of our codes. So in BODS, in generally in Java, .NET C, where we used to call it as programs, we are creating the programs. But when we are coming into the data services, BODS Business Object Data Services, So there are certain type of naming conventions we have. The terminology, naming terminology. There we are calling the job. There we are calling the program as job. So job in the sense not an IT job. So we can say job. Job in BODS means, so like in Java.NET it is program. Here it is job. So we can create that jobs. It means to say like programs in Designer, BODS Designer, that we can execute in BODS Designer or as management console tool as well. So if you install BODS SAP BODS package, in that package you can get 7 kind of tools. 7 kind of tools. One is BODS Designer, and second one is BODS Management Console. Third one is Repository Manager. Fourth one is Server Manager. Fifth one is Data Services Workbench. Sixth one is Locale Selector, and seventh one is language selector. So these are the different tools which comes under BODS package, SAP BODS package. So in these 7 tools, those are interlinked, I can say. So if you want to run BODS Designer, in BODS Designer, that should be laid on one database where, so we need to perform all our transformations, everything, and our metadata should load in some kind of database. So for that purpose, we are using repository manager. So repository is nothing but it is kind of a connection to the database. So all our metadata will can store in that repository. So what and all the developer are developing the objects, that and all stored in repository. So with the help of repository, we can create different type of repositories that will be connected to the BODS. So likewise, if I want to run any job, I mean to say program, so we need servers. So with the server manager, we can so create different type of servers to execute these jobs. Likewise, management console is to execute the created jobs in data services. Without the data services help, we can execute at management console. So likewise, all the tools are interlinked tool which will support BODS Designer performance, BODS Designer. So I can say at user interface level, we have, I can say this is the GUI where the user developing his object, his jobs, his programs, that and all comes under user interface layer. As I told, database layer. So database layer, it comes as a repository, BODS repositories. So these repositories, this is connection to the data services designer. Here, our metadata. So what we are designing, that will store over here. And platform layer. Here, I told servers. Servers will create over here. So likewise, interface, it is a 3-tier architecture. Those 3 tiers are interdependent. So one thing will depend on some other thing, other thing will depend on some other thing. So without any of these kind of interface, we cannot perform BODS. See, I can say, so these two are the tools. This is the designer tool. This is management console tool. These all comes under BODS. So in designer, we can design our jobs. With the management console help, we can execute the jobs. Even we can execute the jobs in designer as well, and management console as well. So these two are laid on one database. That database is connected to one specific repository. So that comes under over here. And if we want to run that particular job, what we developed in designer, that will run based on certain kind of servers. Those servers will be connected to the repositories. Then only we can execute our BODS jobs. I can say, don't get confused about when I'm speaking about job. Job is nothing but a program in Java.NET like that. So you need to start learning some kind of terminologies. Those terminals are different from another coding languages and to here. So this is the a small set of architecture, I can say, about a BODS. Any one of you have any doubts as of now? So you can tell me, then I'll try to clarify here about architecture. Now I will show that data services designer, right? So
Yeah,
now
now
you are
you
able to
can.
see my screen,
Yeah.
and till now you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, nice. Thanks for the response. Okay. So as I told, this is the BODS designer. So this designer look like this. As I told, so here, so I can say, so we can divide this designer into three parts. One is project area, and second one is local object library, and third part is work area. So in the local object library, we have specific repository. As I told, repository means from here we are able to connect a different type of databases as well as sources. We can connect to any type of database, any type of the SAP application. So if we have the proper credentials, so then in generally in database Oracle and all, so we can write the SQL codes over there, right, in DBMS everywhere. So if we have the proper credential to connect to that system, then we can write all set of those kind of SQLs, everything in BODS. And so you can, I can say, you can play with the data, so whatever you want. You can transform the data like anything. So if you have any business rules, so you can go ahead with the transformations. And likewise, you can load the data into respect to target system as well if you have the proper credentials to connect to that system. So with this repository, this is the repository. So local repository, we can call it as local repository. With this local repository, we are able to connect to the database. So I can say what and all the data we are fetching. So we can see that here, we can see only the metadata over here. Once you go over there into particular database, then you can see the full set of data. So yeah, I'm just showing you one example. This is the specific data store. This is a specific database which was connected to some database. So in that database, I have some table FF, I mean TTFF SQL something. In that data, I have in that table, I have some sample data, some small set of some line items of data. So that I can see here. I can say I can import the metadata into BODS. Then with this metadata, I can do different type of transformations. I can do different type of conversions, and I can derive some set of rule. I can derive some set of structure what business is requiring. Then with that structure, I can load the data into some different tables. Those and all happen with the help of a repository. So this is one kind of in architecture. This is one kind of layer. And second one I told server. So if I can click on here and we are able to see server, job server. So if I want to run any of these, then my job server should in active and it should be in running mode. So if it is not running, then I'll get the message over here saying that your job server is not working. Job server is another set of layer in our architecture, and the whole thing, this all comes under data services designer. This is GUI, I can say, user interface. We can build whatever the jobs we required, we can work, we can do whatever we want to do, that and all we can do over here. This is the user interface. So now, as I told, we have three-tier architecture. So I showed you BODS and I showed you a repository. Don't consider all the things. This is Informatica tool, this is CMC, and you need to, if you are speaking about the data services designer, then we need to speak about BODS management console and BODS designer and BODS repository. So likewise, we have the servers, BODS servers. So these and all, these are the part. So that's why I explained in clear diagram over here. So these and all comes under so BODS architecture, user interface layer, repository layer. We can call this as database server layer and job server layer. So we can call this as server layer. This is just a brief about what is BODS. So as I told, we have 200 plus objects in SAP. In that, for SAP, BODS is the only ETL tool to transform the data, to extract the data and transform the data, load the data into different systems as per requirement. So for that, we are using and SAP recommended BODS to go ahead with this, and we can call this tool as ETL tool. And I'll show you one sample job. So if you want to create any sample job, first you need to create one project. So I can say I have this project. In this project, we build a different type of jobs to transform the data. This and all here. This is the workplace. Here we are transforming the data, and BODS have given some standard transformations. So I mean, we no need to stretch more and we no need to think more. So we have some standard transformations. These are 4 categories of transformations: data integrated transformation, data quality transformation, platform transformation, and text data transformation. These are the categories. Each categories we have 10 to 12 different type of transformations. So with these transformations, we can reduce our burden. We can simply transform the data. So if it is suitable to use in our job, we can use these transformations and transform the data in a quick manner. So this is the job. This is an executable object. Once you create this kind of job, then we can execute over here. So with this help of this execution, we can execute our job and we can see how the data transforming from source to target. Any questions over here? No? Can I take it as no?
Excuse me.
Yes, yes. Your good name?
Actually, it is same like BI, right? Business intelligence, like SSIS, right?
Yes, it is kind of. This is the BI also an ETL tool, right?
Yes, yes. No, I understood actually, but you said right. You showed some of the transformations, like and the we can extract the data from the flat file and those sources, and we can transform it, right? So,
Yes.
like it is a little bit what same like the SSIS tool.
Yeah, that's what I told you, right? In marketplace, we have different type of ETL tools. So as I
Yes, yes.
told, BODS and ETL tool, which is SAP tool, and likewise we have Informatica, SSIS, some more than 10 to 15 ETL tools are there in market. Somewhere, as those all are comes under ETL tools, I
Yes.
can say the user friendly is a little bit same across all these different type of ETL tools. So our intention is extracting the data from different databases, tables, or flat files, or Excel files, and transform the data, load into different type of database or SAP. This is common across all these ETL tools, but for a specific SAP, we have BODS, and Informatica is some other company's tool, like SSIS is some other company's tool. So now we have Azure, Synity. These all are the ETL tools.
Okay, okay.
All we'll do
Then
is extract the data, transform the data, and load the data.
yes, yes, I got it. But you said like about the servers also, like if we have like databases and all those things, you just showed us the tool, right? And
Hmm.
where will that be? Like the database server?
So if you can see here, see, I'll
Okay,
show you one more thing. See, so if you installed BODS in your data services BODS designer, if you install in your thing, then with this package, you can see all those data services
okay,
designer. Data services designer is the current screen what I'm showing, and data services management console. I told this is a web-based application. What and all you develop in this upcoming, I mean, where you are seeing in the screen, that and all we can
okay,
execute over here. And data services manager, this is also one tool. So with this help of data services manager, we can create a different type of repositories. So repository nothing but it will connect it to the database. In repository, only the metadata of particular tables or only the metadata of what we are developing can store over here. And data services server
like
manager. With this server
okay,
manager, we can create the servers and we can I can say integrate that server to the repository. So then only we can execute our jobs like data services workbench, data services license manager. So likewise, we have data services, local selector. I mean, the local selector is the older tool, so that is only to select the specific language. So as in SAP, it is an SAP. SAP is in with different type of languages like France, Germany, these kind of languages. It is available. So if you want to, even in generally France people, they don't know much English, so that's why they will, even they are unable to read the English also. So that's why it will, this application is available in their own language as well. So for that, so we can install in their language. For that, local selector is useful. Likewise, license manager, this is deals with our license, like whether version of this and this kind of stuff it will. So likewise, in that, if you install, if you have the full set of data services package, so you can get all those tools, and those tools are interlinked tools. So without one, it will not, I mean, another will not work. And moreover, so without data services designer, management console, repository manager, and server manager, without these four, we are unable to execute a small piece of code also in designer. So we need all four. Somehow we can exclude data service management console, because we can execute the jobs in data services designer also. So where we are developing, so that we can execute over here. So designer, repository manager, and server manager, without these three there is no BODS.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Like it comes with the package of all four.
Yeah, it comes with the package of all four if you install data services, SAP data services.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we can call
Thank
it
you.
as, yeah, these are all the different naming conventions, conventions, like we can call it as SAP data services, or as DS, BODS, or ETL tool of SAP.
Uh, Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is brief, a very I can say very upper overview of BODS. What is BODS? How this will work, and how we can connect to the source system. So I told you, with data, we can call this as data store. With this data store, we can connect to the database. I'll show you one small example. If I want to create a new one, here it is asking some name, so we can create some name, and it is asking data store type. If you can see here, these are all different type of databases, whether adapter database, a database, Oracle application, PeopleSoft, SAP application, BA, BW, all this. If you have proper credentials, we can connect to all these systems, and we can fetch the data from there. So likewise, if you want to extract the data from files, see, if you want to extract the data from Excel file, so directly, so we can create one Excel file here, and we can scan our local file data from local, yes, I mean your desktop data, or if the file is available in your desktop, we can scan that data from there to here by with the help of this Excel workbook, by creating the new Excel workbook. So likewise, if it is text file, then we can create a text file over here, and we can scan that data from your desktop to BODS. Likewise, if you have different type of files, global copybook, HDFS, these kind of files, then with the help of these, we can call it as formats. In formats, we have these type of file formats. With the help of these file formats, we can scan our data from some places, source place to BODS. Then we can do our transformation over here. And if you want to export that data into file, you don't want to export that, you don't want to load the data into tables, you want to export the data into file. With this help of this, then we can load the data into files in particular folder where you have the access from BODS to that folder. You can create the file in that particular file. Okay.
Got
Any
it.
other questions?
No, no, no.
This is high level overview of BODS. So if anyone don't know about ATL tool, maybe for a couple of days it will be very much new to them. And the terminology also, I told, right, different type of terminologies. Here we have job, but in some other coding language it will be program. So that terminology also will be different. It will take a couple of days to I mean habituate for this kind of terminologies. But once you pick up, when you start in this, then it is very easy tool, I can say, but you need to practice a lot. And I can say in marketplace, in nowadays there is huge market for BODS. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Any other questions? Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah,
No,
Srikanth here.
I'm good. I'm good with it.
Can you show a small example of the ETL process, like extraction of data, transmission, and loading?
1 second. Hmm, I'll show this only. So, this is the flat file. This flat file ff_kumar. See, as I told, so this is the file. I have a file in my desktop. So user somewhere. So over here. So my file is over here. And with this creation of this, I given the path and I given the file name to read the data. So once I imported that, I'll get the structure. So now, once you create this, as I told, we can scan the data over here, right? So now I have the data in this file. Now I want to load this data into this particular table. So for that, I created a small piece of code, just dumping the data from Excel to database. One second. So this is the executable button. So if you click on the job and you can execute over here, or else you can right click on the job and execute. So it will give one pop-up. See, as I told you, right? So job server. Here we need to select a proper job server which is in the running stage. And if your repository is assigned to specific job server, then automatically that come over here and you can run that. So without this job server, you cannot run BODS job. So that file is not there over here. Let me create one file and I'll show you.